Multipurpose river projects and integrated water resources management. But how do we conserve and manage water? Archaeological and historical records show that from ancient times we have been constructing sophisticated hydraulic structures like dams built of stone rubble, reservoirs or lakes, embankments, and canals for irrigation. Not surprisingly, we have continued this tradition in modern India by building dams in most of our river basins. What are dams and how do they help us in conserving and managing water? Dams were traditionally built to impound rivers and rainwater that could be used later to irrigate agricultural fields. Today, dams are built not just for irrigation but for electricity generation, water supply for domestic and industrial uses, flood control, recreation, inland navigation, and fish breeding. Hence, dams are now referred to as multi-purpose projects where the many uses of the impounded water are integrated with one another. For example, in the Satluj Beas River basin, the Bakra Nangal project water is being used both for hydel power production and irrigation. Similarly, the Hirakud project in the Mahanadi basin integrates conservation of water with flood control. Multi-purpose projects launched after independence with their integrated water resources management approach were thought of as the vehicle that would lead the nation to development and progress, overcoming the handicap of its colonial past. Jawaharlal Nehru proudly proclaimed, "The dams are the temples of modern India." The reason being that it would integrate development of agriculture and the village economy with rapid industrialization and growth of the urban economy. In recent years, multipurpose projects and large dams have come under great scrutiny and opposition for a variety of reasons. Regulating and damming of rivers affect their natural flow, causing poor sediment flow and excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir, resulting in rockier stream beds and poorer habitats for the river's aquatic life. Dams also fragment rivers, making it difficult for aquatic fauna to migrate, especially for spawning. The reservoirs that are created on the floodplains also submerge the existing vegetation and soil, leading to its decomposition over a period of time. Multipurpose projects and large dams have also been the cause of many new environmental movements like the Narmada Bachao Andolan and the Tehri Dam Andolan, etc. Resistance to these projects has primarily been due to the large scale displacement of local communities. Local people often had to give up their land, livelihood, and their meager access and control over resources for the greater good of the nation. So, if the local people are not benefiting from such projects, then who is benefited? Perhaps the landowners and large farmers, industrialists, and few urban centers. Take the case of the landless in a village. Does he really gain from such a project? Irrigation has also changed the cropping pattern of many regions, with farmers shifting to water intensive and commercial crops. This has great ecological consequences like salinization of the soil. At the same time, it has transformed the social landscape, that is, increasing the social gap between the richer landowners and the landless poor. As we can see, the dams did create conflicts between people wanting different uses and benefits from the same water resources. In Gujarat, the Sabarmati basin farmers were agitated and almost caused a riot over the higher priority given to water supply in urban areas, particularly during droughts. Interstate water disputes are also becoming common with regard to sharing the costs and benefits of the multipurpose project. Most of the objections to the projects arose due to their failure to achieve the purposes for which they were built. Ironically, the dams that were constructed to control floods have triggered floods due to sedimentation in the reservoir. Moreover, the big dams have mostly been unsuccessful in controlling floods at the time of excessive rainfall. You may have seen or read how the release of water from dams during heavy rains aggravated the flood situation in Maharashtra and Gujarat in 2006. The floods have not only devastated life and property but also caused extensive soil erosion. Sedimentation also meant that the floodplains were deprived of silt, a natural fertilizer, further adding on to the problem of land degradation. It was also observed that the multipurpose projects induced earthquakes, caused waterborne diseases, and pests and pollution resulting from excessive use of water. Hydraulic structures in ancient India. In the 1st century BC, Sringavarapura near Allahabad had sophisticated water harvesting system channeling the flood water of the river Ganga. During the time of Chandragupta Maurya, dams, lakes, and irrigation systems were extensively built. Evidences of sophisticated irrigation works have also been found in Kalinga, that is Kalinga, Odisha, Nagarjunakonda, Andhra Pradesh, Bennur, Karnataka, Kolhapur, Maharashtra, etc. In the 11th century, Bhopal Lake, one of the largest artificial lakes of its time, was built. In the 14th century, the tank in Hauz Khas, Delhi, was constructed by Iltutmish for supplying water to Sri Fort area. A dam is a barrier across flowing water that obstructs, directs, or retards the flow, often creating a reservoir, lake, or impoundment. Dam refers to the reservoir rather than the structure. Most dams have a section called a spillway or weir over which or through which it is intended that water will flow either intermittently or continuously. Dams are classified according to structure, intended purpose, or height. Based on structure and the materials used, dams are classified as timber dams, embankment dams, or masonry dams with several subtypes. According to the height, dams can be categorized as large dams and major dams, or alternatively as low dams, medium height dams, and high dams. We have sown the crops in Asar. We will bring Badu in Badra. Floods have swollen the Damodar. The sailing boats cannot sail. O Damodar, we fall at your feet. Reduce the floods a little. Badu will come a year later. Let the boats sail on your surface. This popular Badu song in the Damodar Valley region narrates the troubles faced by people owing to the flooding of Damodar River, known as the River of Sorrow. Narmada Bachao Andolan or Save Narmada Movement is a non government organization NGO that mobilized tribal people, farmers, environmentalists, and human rights activists against the Sardar Sarovar Dam being built across the Narmada River in Gujarat. It originally focused on the environmental issues related to trees that would be submerged under the dam water. Recently, it has refocused the aim to enable poor citizens, especially the oustees, that is displaced people, to get full rehabilitation facilities from the government. People felt that their suffering would not be in vain. accepted the trauma of displacement, believing in the promise of irrigated fields and plentiful harvests. So often, the survivors of Rihand told us that they accepted their sufferings as sacrifice for the sake of their nation. But now, after 30 bitter years of being adrift, their livelihood having even being more precarious, they keep asking, are we the only ones chosen to make sacrifices for the nation? Do you know Sardar Sarovar Dam has been built over the Narmada River in Gujarat. This is one of the largest water resource projects of India covering four states Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. The Sardar Sarovar project would meet the requirement of water in drought prone and desert areas of Gujarat, that is 9,490 villages and 173 towns, and Rajasthan, that is 124 villages. Do you know that the Krishna Godavari dispute is due to the objections raised by Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh governments? It is regarding the diversion of more water at Koina by the Maharashtra government for a multipurpose project. This would reduce downstream flow in their states with adverse consequences for agriculture and industry.